All right, hello and welcome everyone to Live at Epiphan. It is Thursday at 3 o'clock, and we are here to talk about something cool related to live streaming as usual. And actually, this is a really interesting one. So I'm going to bring in my colleague, George. We get a George and George show today, right?
Hey George, how's it going, buddy?
It's going great. It's going great. This is kind of weird because, we're literally a stone's throw from each other in our own home studio offices and doing this show, George and George. And it is just crazy Georgeception, I guess, today is.
I know. I'm excited to see the evolution of your home studio. I know your house is a disaster because you just moved in and stuff like that, but you're pulling it off here. It looks all right. And soon we'll get some nice colored blue lights in your background, some plants. We'll make it all look pretty. So
yeah, we'll get there one piece at a time. But basically, we've been really busy recently. We've been doing all of this stuff around Epiphan Connect. We've been going absolutely crazy with the interest flooding in because we've been giving away free trials. Anyone who's interested, reach out to us. And it's been incredible seeing how people are using it, including how we're producing the show right now.
yeah, it's fun. It's part of this whole world of cloud production that we're talking about. We're trying to make things easier, which is why we made Connect. So we're all sitting here in a Teams call, just like any other Teams call, but our producer Jeremy behind the scenes is making all the magic happen. So it meant we could show up, 10 minutes before this show actually started and do like very little prep. So I'm pretty happy about that aspect. And I'm also pretty excited to talk about more graphics today.
Yeah, well, it's funny. The last show we had, we kind of did a hybrid thing. We were in Jeremy's studio in Gatineau, Quebec, and he joined us remotely through Connect and through Teams. Whereas today, and we have a special guest joining us again, but we have this time it's fully remote. This time it's every single participant and our producer. Everyone is in their own remote home space. So this is another demonstration of the same technology, but 100% remote today. So that's super cool. But like you said, graphics plays a really important role in making cohesive content, really kind of making it feel good and engaging and throwing a little extra flash in there sometimes.
Exactly. Like you and I are both, incredibly beautiful to look at, but a little bit of graphical assistant here will go a long way to making this look polished and professional. And we've got a lot of customers they're trying to up their game. They're trying to do a little bit more. And so bringing in a cloud graphics tool, it was about a month ago, we had Singular.live in our show talking about their new Uno platform, and that was a really easy to use platform that could get people rolling with. And then when I was looking for graphic tools that we could dig into, we also found Flowics. I don't know, you probably haven't seen this as much, I'm guessing.
No, I haven't had a chance to dive in on Flowics, but it sounds awesome.
It's a wet dream, man. It's really, really nice. Like you can do whatever you want with this tool, and we'll show off a little bit of that today. We have Jeff from Flowics is going to join us, and we'll talk shop, and we'll talk about cloud graphics in general, and just try to let people understand all of the options in this market. So
awesome. Well, I'm excited to learn. Yeah. I'm going to get to sit back a little bit and listen to you and Jeff talk about Flowics and what it is, and yeah, I'll just get to learn about what's going on. But for everyone viewing, if you have any questions as we go through, I'm watching chat. So throw those questions into chat. Give a shout out. Say hello. I see that Ian is a big fan of my Cows T-shirt, so that's great. All the Canadians will understand. Other ones maybe not so much. But yeah, say hi in chat and throw in any of those questions. And of course, as always, make sure to follow, like, subscribe, all those things and all those places. And check out Flowics as well after we dive into this. So, George, I'm going to hand it over to you, bring Jeff in, and I'm going to just kick back and learn something, which is awesome.
Awesome. Thanks, George. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Take it easy. And welcome, Jeff. Jeff, thanks so much for coming on today. We've been planning this for, a couple of months. I talked to you. You were in the mountains trying to find internet connectivity.
That's right. Yeah. Hi, George and George. Thanks a lot for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah. As I mentioned in the intro, I'm super excited about your product. When I found it, it was a revolution in terms of how I thought graphics could be in terms of ease of use. I don't come from a production background. So in a sense, I'm a newbie trying to learn how to make graphics for live streaming. And when I looked at some of the existing offerings out there, they were all either, piece of gear I had to buy, put it on my desk, or a piece of software that I had to install on my computer. And I was amazed at how little there was in the world of cloud-based solutions, because we're all about cloud. So when I found yours, it was so exciting. So thanks for coming on. Maybe you could just give me and our audience a primer on what is Flowics in general.
Sure. Yeah. So first of all, we're a cloud native CG. So Flowics was born in the cloud. It's not something that was taken there after being developed in a hardware environment. So it's cloud native with the SaaS model or OpEx model. So you can produce broadcast quality graphics without any hardware. So all you need is Chrome and an internet connection. So one of our, I think, high level messages is you don't need hardware-based on-premise CG the way you used to have to produce good graphics. You can work in the cloud, creating broadcast quality.
So what are the pushbacks? Like tell me this. Let's say I'll play the role of some, grizzly AV guy who's been producing on my CG for years, and I'm like, I don't need that. Like, I'm fine. I got my thing here. How do you convince that person that no, cloud is your friend here? What's the key advantage for them aside from it just being nimble and a different business offering?
Sure. Well, do you like spending large amounts of money on hardware? Hardware that's obsolete every couple of years. And
that's what I've been doing for 30 years. Of course I do.
Okay. All right. Do you like buying solutions that don't include upgrades and continuous evolutions and improvements? So do you prefer to work on premise, or do you like the flexibility of remote production? So yeah, there are quite a few arguments. The OpEx model is one that's more and more, accepted more and more preferred more by CFOs and people handling the finances.
Mm-hmm.
So there's also that you just pay for what you use, right?
This is all very helpful. So we're in a similar position. Not the same. We're a hardware company, and we're also moving into the cloud space with what we're calling Epiphan Unify to be able to produce from the cloud. So we're trying to understand both sides of that argument, and it's very compelling on both sides, and people have their reasons. Sure. But we're starting to see some very strong advantages with the cloud aspect of everything. So you're giving me some notes that I can parlay on to our marketing and sales teams when they're talking to people who are resistant, or maybe they don't see the benefit to switch to cloud.
Sure. Yeah, and I think that the advantages here are for all sectors, from the smallest producers, all the way up to enterprise level broadcasters. So, as an example, we work with ESPN, Discovery, Warner, Eurovision, Televisa, Viacom, Paramount, and also independent producers or streamers that have maybe a couple of broadcasts a week. So these advantages, we can scale way up or way down, both in terms of pricing models and also operational or overall scalability in terms of the operation and the platform. So.
Yeah, it does offer some flexibility there. I like that. Like next week, we're doing an event in Toronto, as I was mentioning, and I can buy your service for a month and go and use it and not have to worry about any giant capital expenditure. And we are using it right now. So Jeremy, our producer behind the scenes, he's using it for the graphics on this show. And this is a very basic use of your service. You can build anything with Flowics, and we're showing off some of the things that you can do. But maybe I can just pull up your website here and talk about some of the things that you do in general, so people understand what the product even is. So sure. I don't know if you can see what I'm seeing. You see my share screen here, Jeff?
I can see that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So like this is what caught me right away was the tool for building graphics was this drag and drop editor that I think you showed me how to use it in the morning, and in the afternoon I was making stuff.
Yeah, the interface is very very intuitive, and so even I can make simple graphics.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, in terms of training, we have CSMs that train our users, but it really doesn't take much time, especially if somebody has built graphics before. So
and it's not simple either. It's not like you traded off complexity for usability, because when you get into the weeds on this and you see all the data hooks and the social media aspect that you can bring in and the different, like the way you can organize your graphics and your content, it's powerful.
Yeah, it is. You're not giving up really anything in terms of features. So you have, like I said, it's broadcast quality. You can have transitions, transition in and out, animations, animated backgrounds, masks, colors, custom fonts. So you're really not giving up anything. I mean, it is a cloud-based solution, so you can't do some of the very specialized applications like telestration, where you're analyzing, for sports, or 3D graphics. But those are pretty specialized uses,
Yeah.
and that's not something that those tend to be an exception. Those aren't the lion's share of graphic use.
Yeah. So obviously you sell a lot to sports because sports tend to be very graphics heavy production. So I can see why that's a focus on your website and your content there. A lot of our customers are looking at it more from a live event point of view, how they want to bring in graphics, and it probably doesn't have quite the complexity of it. But maybe could you speak to how someone who's doing live events can think of like a TED Talks? If I'm they hire me to produce the TED Talks, next year. How could something like Flowics play in that space?
Sure. Yeah, the tools in Flowics are actually applicable to any vertical. So we started out with sports. That's kind of where the company began, but we work with clients, content producers in the areas of entertainment, in events, in news. So they're the same. The same tools can be used across almost any vertical. We can integrate with almost any workflow as well. SDI, NDI. We have a free NDI converter. URL. You can bring us into your switcher using a URL. And then we have native integrations with Amagi and Grass Valley Amp and Gravio and TBU and vMix and OBS and Keysway and quite a few others. So as you can see, these are both enterprise level and sort of smaller content producer solutions. So we can work across any of these. And then in terms of events, vMix and OBS are pretty popular with events, and your solution as well. And so, like I said, we can scale up or scale down. And in terms of use, almost anybody can or anybody can really build graphics on the platform. So.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I'm, we always have people on the show. Sometimes I love the solutions, and sometimes I like them. And in this case, I feel like I'm blowing a lot of smoke up your skirt. But the truth is, it does seem really, really flexible, that you can do anything you want with it, more or less. We're using it today with what we call Epiphan Unify, our cloud-based solution. And so in that case, we just take an HTML output from yours, we plug it into our tool, and away we go. And it just means persistent stream of graphics. And we can do many of those different URLs if we need to separate graphics for different shows. And for our Perl hardware encoders, we would be doing it over NDI. That's kind of our go-to for local setups for our Perl 2 systems. And it looks like we're covered there. Maybe I can pull up this like random use case here on your website, which is the Colombian elections. I'm sure there's a hot topic. And maybe you could tell us a little bit, like, how did this story come to be?
Yeah, so this was a national broadcaster in Colombia. This is just a couple of months ago, and they wanted to do social media curation. So one of the things, taking a step back, obviously we're a graphics platform, but we have a couple of big differentiators, because there are others in the market that do social media curation, social media monitoring, and audience engagement. And then there are others who do just graphics, and we actually do both. And so that's one of our key differentiators. And so one part of our platform is social media curation. So I can configure what we call a flow. It's basically a filter to follow posts or publications on social media or hashtags. And then I can apply filters to remove the content that I don't want, maybe from trolls, maybe bad words, or other types of content I don't want in there. And so what I'm doing is is bringing down, removing the sort of undesirable content, and then I can curate a playlist, and then of comments from the audience or comments from society in general, and use those in my broadcast. I can also take votes. I can create a hashtag for an event. Say, if it's an event, say, what do you want us to talk about today, or what was the best part of the show, or whatever. And then I can poll my audience. I can carry out, voting and polling, and then show those results on screen. And we know that audiences that participate are much more engaged.
Yeah,
they tend to stay around longer.
That's interesting.
Right?
So it's not like, when we talk about a graphics engine, we think of it as, sort of a surface level layer on top of the content that's already there. But in your case, you're actually part of the show. You're inserting yourself, like saying, hey, you can use us to help make the show.
Exactly. And people like to see graphically on screen. They can see a graphic where their results are actually being counted.
Yeah,
so they can see percentages shown live, the split, the distribution of votes on screen live. And that really attracts people and engages them and hooks them.
Our customers are just as excited about that as yours, I'm sure. When I polled our audience, not our audience, I called a lot of live event people and I said, hey, let's speculate. What are you considering for the future the most of anything? This is at the beginning of the pandemic when hybrid was a big thing. They were trying to solve that challenge. And all of them came back with the same answer. They were most concerned about how to bring interactivity into their content. And they knew, especially in this hybrid world where you had an in-room audience and you have remote people, they kind of wanted to level the playing field for everybody. And all of that involves interactivity where people can somehow be a part of the show, even if it's in a small way. But it seems like you're helping to cover that ground as well.
Sure. And besides social media content, there's another type of interaction that we call second screen. So you can place a QR code on screen. The audience at home can scan it, and then that fires it's just a web-based landing page where they can vote. And it could be it could even be a graphic interface with headshots or team logos or whatever else you're voting on. So the audience can vote on what was the best player, who's the best, or what do you want to, what would you like to talk about today, whatever it is. And again, you can see the graphic updating in real time with each person's voice being counted.
That's fascinating.
That also,
and
that also really engages and hooks people.
Fun. You must be having a good time. I don't know. I'd be happy to get behind this product and have to go around and try and talk to people about it.
Yeah, it is great. It's great seeing the response and the interest and frankly, we're making life a lot easier for a number of people, and that's especially true on the data side as well. The way we can bring in external data and content, and then feed the graphic. So in the old world, if you to build content or to build graphics that were powered by or fed by external data, and that can be weather data, that can be your own API with whatever type of content. It could be sports data, economic, whatever it is. In the old model, you had to parse that feed, the XMLs or JSONs, and so that took a lot of dev work. So with our data connectors, which is a really key differentiator with others on the market, we actually do the work. We bring in that API, and then that feed is actually native in our platform. So when you go to build a graphic, all you're doing is you have a drop-down menu. You choose the data point and then map on the graphic where it's going to play out, and then you're ready to go. So you can virtually go live with data-powered graphics, data, external content, headlines, whatever it is, in a question of minutes. Rather than the old, it could easily take weeks or months to do all this dev work before. So that's another thing that people really love, and we get a lot of interest in that right now.
That's fascinating. Yeah, I'm sure you're just scratching the surface on all the things you can do with bringing in those data sources. So, what else have we not talked about? Like, what have I missed anything in this? High level overview.
Let's see. There's also another differentiator. Like I said, data. The data part also scales down. Somebody might have sort of their own content they want to feed in, and so we can also bring in content over from Google Sheets,
yes,
or from JSON, push and
yeah,
pull.
yeah. That's how we typically do things for our show here. We'll just put together a sheet and pull strings of data from a Google Sheet onto the show, and it for our basic needs, it seems to work just fine. But I can imagine that doesn't scale when you have huge data sets.
No, it wouldn't scale for ESPN, but for many applications, that's more than enough. So we can do that, and it's also very, very easy to set up and bind that data. We also have 24/7 live support through the interface. It's
that's nice. Yeah, that's important.
That's also a big differentiator.
We've got a question from Jason on the YouTube. Can this bring in Facebook and YouTube chat on screen graphically? So
what I can do then is monitor the comments in YouTube or in Facebook Live, Facebook, Instagram as well, and so I can curate the content, the comments that are coming in, and then choose and show on screen whatever posts I want to. Yeah. So yes, we can also do Twitch and even WhatsApp.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing that here somewhere. There's a lot of great video content on your YouTube channel, which I'll point out to our audience here if they want to check it out. It's youtube.com/FlowixTV. And that your social stuff was very, very advanced, and how you could curate that and bring that in either just as a stream of constant data or curation.
Yeah. There's another thing I wanted to mention, going back to your last question. And that's our output profile feature, which is really cool. So I can do a multilingual broadcast with just one operator. So I could have outputs in, say, English, French, and Spanish with different versions of the same graphic set. So each one will be configured to play out on a different platform. But it's one graphic set. It's just different languages, different language versions of that same graphic set. So that's very cool that one operator.
That's huge. Yeah, there's so much push. We get questions about accessibility and multilingual all the time, and it seems like those questions are coming in more frequently than ever. So I imagine you're the same, needing to meet those multilingual demands. So the fact that one person can do that's very impressive.
Yeah, it's great. I can even have a different logo or bug on each of those platforms. Maybe I have a different sponsor on in French than I have in English, so I can use different sponsors. But most of the graphic templates are going to be the same. It's just small variations.
Awesome. Wow. Well, thanks again for the tour. I appreciate getting to know this tool, and I appreciate getting to use it for this show. So I think we're going to try and up our game here and try and do graphics as great as we see on your YouTube channel. And we'll keep you in the loop on what our customers say about it. So I encourage anybody who's watching this and any of our customers to weigh in and let us know what graphics tools you're using, if you're using Flowix, and how it's going for you. So thanks, Jeff, for joining us today.
No, thank you guys. Thanks for having me.
Great. And thanks to Jeremy for producing this behind the scenes. Jeremy's been making all this come together and gluing it all together. He built the Flowix graphics for the last week or so, and so appreciate that. And for anybody who's watching, thanks for watching. We're here every 2 weeks on Thursday at 3 o'clock. Follow us, subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate it. And let us know what you want to talk about, and we'll make wacky video content about it. So cheers, everybody. Take care.
Thanks a lot.